Today we are going to be feeding out our 3 ecosystem aquariums right here on our ecosystem terrace. Now, just for your all's frame of reference, we are going to be leaving this location after this first aquarium is fed out. So if you would like to join us for the feeding of the other 2 aquariums, you can walk with us. But if you'd rather hang out in the seated area, that's totally fine as well. You'll be able to hear me through the speakers throughout the entire presentation. Now, as we are feeding out, we are going to be doing a couple different methods for feeding, and I'm going to do my very best to explain those methods because they do serve a scientific purpose for the betterment of our fish and their health. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started here with our first aquarium, the largest of our 3. This is our Gulf Stream aquarium. And this ecosystem here is to represent open ocean environment. And of course, when we talk about what it is named after, the Gulf Stream, that is our large Atlantic current that actually right here in Juno Beach, we happen to be the closest related spot in the continental United States that current system runs to our shoreline. And that Gulf Stream current not only brings warm water all throughout the Atlantic Ocean, but it also serves as a massive migrational passage for multiple different marine animals, including fish, whales, nesting sea turtles, and about 50 native species of sharks. Now you're going to notice that we do have 2 resident sharks swimming around, but something you might also pick up on is the fact that they are just swimming. They are not eating anything right now. That is because our sharks are fed on a proper basis, and their basis is every other day. They are target or location-based fed. They have to go to a specific location or station in their aquarium to have their food administered to them. The rest of our fish swimming around in this aquarium are being fed scatter or broadcast style. And it's kind of as the name entails, we take a big handful of fish food, and we scatter it all throughout the aquarium so that no matter how big or small those fish are, they are getting a good bite to eat. Now, that type of feeding method also promotes natural schooling behavior of these different types of fish. Now, referring back to our lovely sharks, these are called nurse sharks, and our nurse sharks do have the temperament and kind of understanding of being a docile type of shark, but that is not where they get their name from. Nurse sharks are actually named from a sound that they make. These guys do have a mouth located underneath their bodies. They are bottom feeders. And so when they are out in the wild, they utilize 2 whisker-like projections called barbels to literally snuffle in the sand beneath them, looking for some of their most favorite foods, including hard-shelled crustaceans and mollusks. And when they find something with those barbels, they suck it up into their mouth. And doing that makes a sound that kind of sounds like a suckling, nursing baby. That's where they get their name as nurse sharks. Now, one final fish species that I always like to mention because he is kind of the star of the show, and he does get a little left out if I don't mention him. His name is Frankie, and of course he is right at the forefront coming around because he knows his cue. Frankie is a queen triggerfish, and he is quite a sassy one at that. Frankie the queen triggerfish, they get their name as a triggerfish for their defense mechanism. Right in front of his dorsal fin, on top of his body, he has a spine that he can trigger to stand upright. And not only does that make him look big and scary to predators in the wild, but it's also a way for him to literally lodge himself into rock and coral crevices for safety. But Frankie, being in captivity, he doesn't need it for protection, he uses it for attention. So Frankie will definitely stick up his spine for attention from our visitors, and one of his most favorite pastimes is taking selfies with you all. So I encourage you, if you are going to continue with us on the other end of the ecosystem terrace, definitely come back to see Frankie. He'll do some tricks for you. But as you can see, this first aquarium is all finished feeding out, so we are going to make our way to our coral reef aquarium next. If you are joining reef fish, and in this aquarium, you're going to see some of our brightly colored fish, like our pink squirrel fish, our lovely little butterfly fish. But the star of this aquarium, his name is Walter, and Walter is a porcupine fish. Walter is showcasing something called target training, where he has to follow a specific target to be able to get his proper diet administered to him. Now, being a porcupine fish, inside of his mouth, he has a fused beak, similar to that of a parrot. And that beak system is ever growing. So he requires a hard shell diet to naturally file down or grind down that beet so he doesn't overgrow his diet. So here he is getting shrimp with the shell still on and whole clams. Now Walter is named as a porcupine fish because similar to our land porcupines, his body is covered in spines, but he does have a defense mechanism that is unique to him, and that is to inflate his body 2 to 3 times his regular size. And being probably the largest porcupine fish that I have ever seen, that would be the equivalent of a giant spiky beach ball just floating around in the current. Now you might also get a good glimpse at Walter's best friend swimming in this aquarium, our green moray eel named Green Bean. Now Green Bean, he is actually a really cool critter because he's not actually green. Their skin tone is actually a kind of slate gray silver color, but it is a mucus that his skin secretes to keep off ectoparasites that is green, and that is why his skin appears that beautiful fluorescent green in our eyes. Now something else that these moray eels possess that we can't actually see is something deep inside of their throats that is unique only to moray eels. These animals have 2 sets of jaws. One is their main jaw, and the other is a retractable set of jaws deep in their throat. They're called pharyngeal jaws, and when they are eating, they grasp onto their food, then move those jaws to help them swallow their food down. Now, if I have any movie buffs in the audience, that might sound familiar for our horror flicks, because green moray eels are actually the inspiration for the movie Alien. Now, our final aquarium that you guys will be visiting is located right behind you. Storm surge and erosion. Without coral reef systems to create a wall and our mangrove by holding in our coastal areas, our state would literally be obliterated by hurricanes every single year. So they're extremely important for our way of life. Now there's also a multitude of different animals that live in mangrove estuaries that actually raise their young in these environments because of their protective elements. Lots of different fish, sea turtles, and even birds will live in mangrove estuaries because large predatory fish can't maneuver as easily through those prop roots depicted by those red mangroves. Now in this aquarium specifically, we have a lot of our more popular game fish found here in Florida. So our beautiful skinny and shiny look down swimming around, naturally adapted as thin animals to help them maneuver through those prop roots. And my personal favorite swimming in there, our red drums. They are the forearm length rose gold three-toned colors that have a big black spot right in front of their tail. Now that black spot is not just a beauty mark, that is actually a natural adaptation, and it is called a false eye spot, and it is there to make them look less desirable to predators in the wild. Now as you all can see, these aquariums are finished feeding out, but the reason that they are here at Loggerhead Marine Life Center is to showcase the types of natural environments that not only we are working to conserve through our teamwork, but also the types of natural environments that we'd like to release our patients into once their care in our hospital is concluded. But we can't necessarily release healthy sea turtles into unhealthy environments. So making sure that we are doing our part to conserve these ecosystems, not only for our enjoyment, but for the betterment of the animals and wildlife living there. Doing things like using mineral-safe or reef-safe sunscreen instead of chemical spray sunscreen. When we are out in these environments, practicing safe boating and angling habits. Go slow for those below, clean up your monofilament and hooks. And my personal favorite, the easiest of all, next time you guys enjoy a sunny, warm, hopefully, beach day in South Florida, go ahead and pick up trash on the sand when you see it. These are all easy ways that we can not only conserve these ecosystems for the future, but also for the animals that live there. Now, if anybody has any questions, I'll be hanging out right next to our newly refurbished deep dive tank. We thank you all so much for joining us today, and enjoy the rest of your visit at Loggerhead Marine Life Center. Thank you. Thank you.